Good evening, televiewers. You're welcome to this other edition of Prime on my Media Prime. Today's Tuesday. We are traditionally going to be looking at issues touching on relationships and marriages in our respective homes. Today, we're going to be answering the question as to whether one can find pleasure or happiness out of their matrimonial home. Can a man or lady who is married actually succeed in having fun, happiness, and or related activities out of the home? We are discussing this with our panelists who are in the house already. Apostle Ambe Valentine Ngwah is our permanent consultant. He is in the house with us. Good evening and welcome.
Good evening, Mr. Leo. Good evening, Cameroonians. Good evening, my co-panelist, Apostle Alfred, a great counselor. Thank you for this privilege again to be here this evening to educate you on this very sensitive topic. Happiness, where can it be found?
We also are in the company of Alfred, Apostle Alfred Essingie. Good evening and welcome.
Good evening, Mr. Leo, and good evening, my fellow panelists. The Apostle Ambe, who is highly feared and respected in the nation of Cameroon. Every time I have an opportunity to talk with him, I am so delighted. I forgot to tell you the last time, Mr. Leo, concerning one of our fans who follow us so keenly in Batoke. It's like one of the notables in the land. He even bought some vegetables for me because he really thanked us for what we are doing in this place. So we now understand that what we are doing here is not in vain.
Okay. We also are going to be having contributions from Bamenda Northwest Regional Capital through Mrs. Asanji Yvette, who should be on standby watching from Bamenda. We use this opportunity to greet all of you watching us from the Northwest region, as well as you watching us from the Southwest region and across the nation, Cameroon and beyond. We are starting with you, Apostle Ambe Valentine Ngwah. Married couples necessarily happy together?
Yes, Mr. Lo, we have to begin by defining what is happiness. Because if we do not know what is happiness, we will not be able to understand if somebody can be happy within or without marriage. Because happiness to me is provoked by the occurrences of certain things around you. For instance, a good thing happens, you are happy, and a bad thing happens, you are sad. There's a difference between happiness and joy. Joy is offered to man by God, and it does not depend on what you are going through. It does not depend on what you are passing through. But happiness is a state where when things get better, you get excited, you get happy. When things get bad, you get sad. Now, coming to what we are talking about today, can a man or a woman find happiness out of marriage? Yes, 100%, because marriage was not designed to make you happy.
Okay. Marriage
wasn't designed to make you happy. The purpose that God created marriage has its principles, and happiness was not one of the reasons for marriage. And most people sometimes believe that they can find happiness when they meet a man or meet a woman. That is the error of the millennium. Happiness should be something you create, an atmosphere you create for yourself. In good times, you celebrate God. In bad times, you're happy. It's you that decides the state. Somebody said, if somebody can decide when you laugh or when you cry, it means the person is your leader. If somebody can determine where you are happy and where you are not happy, it means the person is your director. So if at all you have not had mastery over yourself and influence your state and the atmosphere around you, you choose to wait for a woman to come to bring happiness in your life, or for a man to come, you may commit suicide, because you may get married to a person that will never make you happy. And if at all your happiness is dependent on your partner, then the person will decide if you are going to be happy or not. So marriage does not make people happy. Secondly, marriage can influence an atmosphere of happiness. If you have a good partner, they can create an atmosphere of happiness. But under normal circumstances, you are supposed to be the one to decide the kind of atmosphere you create around yourself. So marriage can influence happiness, but it's not a determinant factor if somebody has to be happy or not.
Okay. But since you talked about happiness, we should look at it. What is happiness within the context of marriage?
Happiness within the context of marriage is fulfillment. It's an internal fulfillment of why you got married. A lot of factors, that's the reason why we'll be coming to that. A lot of factors contribute for happiness in marriage. It's not just a state of smiling. Happiness is not smiling.
Apostle Alfred Essingie, married couples necessarily happy together? That is because you are married and the man is married, the woman is married. Is that a condition for happiness to prevail in the home?
Statistically speaking, happiness really is far-fetched. When you talk about marriage of today, happiness is far-fetched because there are so many things that brings in happiness in marriage. Of course, you should know, Mr. Leo, when you get married, you are limited to so many things. You know, a lot of people get married and the man does not want the woman to work, and the woman also has a lot of demands from the man, not to hear this one, not to talk to this one, and so on and so forth. So you find yourself in a cage. It's like entering into a cage and you expect that you're going to be happy about it, especially when all those things, those factors that which gave you happiness is not in that marriage, is outside. And some of them, you're going to leave father, you're going to leave mother, and many of you who have left father and mother, you've come to marriage and maybe you're regretting because you thought that maybe when you get there you're going to be happier than when you were home, and you suddenly found out that you entered and you wished you could go back to mama, but the society does not put that demand on you because it doesn't give you that freedom, because there's no way you can go. They told you that it's for better and for worse, or for worse. That's the kind of thing we're talking about. So happiness practically is not really one of the tools that people, or one of the factors that people just get immediately they get into marriage, except people get married to their friends, they get married to their lovers, they get married to someone that they have built life before, maybe their childhood friends, their classmates that they had, good relationship before. Of course, marriage is going to be a wonderful one. Now, I watch a lot of things on Facebook, and I tried to get a lot of statistics on Facebook on how people get their happiness. And many a times, I don't go to those sites that are very, very theoretical. I go to the sites that are very raw and very, let's say, ghetto-like, because of I want to hear it raw, how people evaluate marriage and how people see marriage. There's one popular lady on Facebook that is like Blessing CEO, that talks a lot about marriage and everything. And from everything she mentions would tell me that women are not happy in marriage. They are not happy. That's why you see some married women are still struggling to impress the society. They are still struggling to impress their former boyfriends and friends. A lot of things out there. So I listened to one, and it was talking about that if you marry a man and you cannot have good sex, you will be gloomy for the rest of your life. So that makes me to understand that marriage is not automatically a source of happiness. It's not a source where people go there and happy. It's a conditional place where you can get happiness. That's to say that if you meet what you like inside, you'll be happy. But if you don't meet it, the probability that you'll be happy is very slim. But of course, those who are in Christ and they are solidly in Christ and grounded and founded in Christ, they don't look for happiness, they look for joy. Their joy is that from within and not from without. So they find themselves in marriage, and they will only help to make their husband happy or their wife happy. Because of what? They carry joy and brought it into marriage. It's just like I tell people, I said, you go to church. We don't go to church and meet God there. We don't go to church and meet the Holy Spirit there. We go to church with God. We go to church with the Holy Spirit. And those who did not come with God, we begin to impact them with the God we brought. But unfortunately, do we really take God to church? We don't have God in us. How can we take God to church? That's exactly what happens in marriage. You don't have joy, so you did not come to marriage with joy. How do you expect to be happy? Because joy is from within, and happiness is those things that you get from outside that can provoke your maybe to be excited. That's exactly what
Apostle Ambe, Valentine, Ngwah, we have many sisters who are yet not married. They think that something is lacking in them, that is going to be fulfilled when they get married. There are also some brothers who are living and seemingly are not happy, hoping that when they get married, they're going to be fulfilled and then start living a happy life. Do you have something to tell them that that marriage is the fountain of all happiness?
No, Mr. Leo. You get fulfilled in life when you accomplish purpose, not when you get married.
Okay.
And you must not be married to accomplish purpose. Individuals have accomplished purpose. Oprah Winfrey is not married, probably got married late, and then she also accomplished purpose. So the most important thing that makes you fulfill is purpose. That is why they say a man is not dead when he's placed in the grave. The man is dead when his presence is equal to his absence. One of my messages in the conference I preached. It's not when you are laid on a bed or put in a casket that you are considered dead. You are considered dead when your presence is equal to your absence. You are around, no impact. You are not around, people don't feel you. That's a dead man, a dead but living creature. So you cannot tell me that you go and find purpose, you go and find happiness in marriage. It's absolutely impossible. I was teaching on Sunday because this month in our church I'm teaching marital bliss. And I was teaching the importance of marriage on Sunday. I said it is not good for a man to be alone. It is not good. It is not good. That's what God said. It is not good. It is not good means it is bad for a man to be alone. Yeah, that's turning the statement the other way around. It is bad for a man to be alone. But you see, the problem is, if there is no marriage, it's the man that is on the disadvantage side, because it is not good for the man, not the woman, to be alone. So a man gets better when he gets married. A man gets fulfilled when he gets married. But the opposite is today. The people are supposed to be chasing for marriage is men. But the other way around, women don't understand their role. They are instead chasing for marriage more than the men, because the man is on the disadvantage because it is not good for him, the man, to be alone. It is the man that's supposed to be yearning after a woman. But the opposite is today. Women are chasing men here and there because why? They don't understand that they are coming to make the man's life become good. Because a man alone is not good. If a woman comes in, the man is good. Good in what sense? What the man is doing alone, he cannot accomplish it. When a woman comes in, she has a unique role, because the man carries a seed in him that can never be projected publicly. It's a woman that cultivates that seed and bring it public. So men are carrying hidden treasures. It's women that bring those treasures outside. Ask any man who has been lazy. The moment you get married, you become serious. It is a marriage in that home that provokes you to bring out that thing that is in you. So finding happiness in marriage is an error of monumental proportion. Nobody should ever think that you will find happiness in marriage. It's impossible. And we have to understand that sometimes people get married to women, not wives. There is a female gender, and that female gender has different characteristics. In that woman is a mother, in her is a wife, in her is a priest. God said, he that finds a wife, not a woman. You begin to experience joy and happiness when you find a woman, a wife, not a woman. Because there are many women who are not wives. You begin to say, he that finds a wife finds a good thing and obtains favor. So you don't find a woman and obtain favor. You find a wife. And when it comes to women, they are always everywhere. When it comes to wife, you just finding. What you are finding means you have not seen. It's not available. It's scarce. That's why you do finding. So most people get frustrated, bitter, and enraged in life because they saw a woman. Woman has to do with female secondary sexual characteristics. She has breasts, she has bums, she has private part, and then she is a female. You can get married to a female, you can get married to a woman, and you will not be happy until you find a wife. Also, you get to a place of finding a wife. When favor comes, happiness will come. That's why there are many men who are in the homes with women, not wives. They saw the buttocks, they saw the breast. That is the description of a woman. A woman has to do with the container. A wife has to do with the content. And it takes time to find. So when you go to some home, you must say, since I got married, I lost my peace. You can't get married to a wife and lose your peace. Because a wife comes with favor. But you can get married to a woman and lose your peace. You can get married to a woman and lose your joy. You can get married to a woman and get frustrated. You can get married to a woman and even sink. Now, the alone in scripture that God said, it is not going to be alone. The man was not alone as per se, nothing was around him. He had lions. He had goats, antelope. There were some creatures around him. So the alone context from scripture is actually a woman is missing. So a man can have goat in his compound, money in his bank account, because Adam had a land that had gold, he had rivers, he had trees, he had animals, he had a company of strange creatures. But because a woman was not present, they say he was alone. So alone in a biblical context is not the presence of pets. Like what whites get married to horses, they get married to dogs, they get married to pigs, and get married to cats. You are still alone. Because true companionship is when you find a woman. Why? Company.
When you find a wife.
You find a wife, sorry. Company is when you have things around you. When you enter into a union, you get women don't come in your life to keep you company. Somebody say, I want to get married, I want to keep you company. You don't get married to keep company. There are people who have kept company with dogs and horses. People have died in America and lived their party in the hands of dogs. You get married to a woman for direction. You don't get married to a woman for companionship. You get married to a woman for direction. Because with this companionship, you have brothers, you have sisters, you even have a mother, you have goats, dogs around you. But you get married to a man for more of direction, not a matter of keeping company.
The issue is getting a wife and not a woman.
Yes.
Yes, but what of the case where you get married to a woman and not a wife? And vice versa. Because we are talking about happiness here. There are men who felt that getting married, they're going to become happy.
Of course.
That which they have not found the same for women.
When we're talking about a wife, we're talking about that woman that have been pruned, been groomed, and be prepared for the day of her marriage. That's somebody we talk about, a wife, because she already knows the keys to make a man happy.
Yeah.
She has the keys to open the family, and whatever she does, that home prospers. But unfortunately, what we see today in our society, you know what I'm talking about. Girls just get up from sleep and they enter into marriage. They just get up from, because maybe they are looking good, they are putting shape, and so many other makeups and things that have come around today. People they don't study, they don't want to build themselves to know about marriage. They study marriage from some few words that are spoken by people on the internet, and they use it as a measuring rod for being a wife. Of course, being a wife is going to be demonstrated, is going to be tested by the trials and the temptations and the hardship you're going to go through in marriage. You know, somebody was trying to say something like this. He said, we know that men say that a woman is good if the woman can be able to go through their abuses. I don't want to call it an abuse. I want to say that it is part of marriage to be able to come and learn how to manage the ego of a man. Learn how to manage the pride of a man. Learn how to manage the background. Because some of us men, we never had good mothers at home. Some of them, our mothers never mothered us. So we were expecting to get a wife in our life to mother us. Unfortunately, what we got, many of us got, or people out there got, is just a woman. And it's just like any other girl. And like Apostle Ambe was talking about companionship in this sense, you know, they just find somebody that can lie on the bed and maybe you have sex and they get up and do their own things and they go away, look at the mirror and then look for the next food to eat and everything. That's how they consider companionship and so on. But companionship is a deep word that explains intimacy and explains fellowship in everything you do. So that is it. So, but where do we get those kind of wives today? Where do we get them? Maybe in some other parts of the villages or towns and cities, we have people who are working so hard to groom their daughters, to groom their sons. But unfortunately, we don't have them. We have few husbands. We have few wives. What we have women, we have men, but no husbands and no wives. They have not been prepared. They have not been groomed. They have not been arranged to be better people. That's exactly what I'm trying to tell you, that it's difficult to find a wife today. It's difficult. And if in those days where virginity was so special and so precious, it was difficult to find a wife, then what about today? That everywhere you go, the same woman you want to marry is still dating four men. We have seen people who are still sleeping with the man, with their ex on the day of the wedding. She's going to wed and she's still sleeping with the ex on the day of the wedding. And you're going to ask yourself, why are you're getting married to? You're not getting married to a wife. You're getting married to a woman, and obviously it's going to become a problem to your
Yeah,
life.
but
this
lady who is sleeping with the ex on the day of the marriage, where is she going to? Will she be fulfilled or happy?
But it's common. That's how they want to demonstrate it these days. It's common.
Yes.
They say they want to get the last minute funky. They want to be funky for the last minute. Yes.
And then get into prison?
But it's a common thing.
Okay. Yeah. The love doctor is here, Apostle Lefor Divine. Why is it difficult to find real happiness within our respective homes today? Yet we are married. I am living with my wife. You are doing same. Apostle Ambe. No, Apostle Ambe is anointed, so this may not be happening. And maybe Apostle. No, all of you guys are men of God, so your case is different. Some of us, it's difficult. We are married, but we still find.
Yeah. I'm sure a lot has already been said, but it's...
Why is it difficult to find
this
true happiness in the house? Yes.
The first thing I would like to say, thank you very much, Ms. You and all the fellow panelists. It's been a while. I'm glad to be here again. The first thing I would personally want to say is we always find trouble when we first start looking for happiness, but from somebody else. I think most of the time the challenge comes from unhappy people looking for people to make them happy. Like Apostle Alfred was talking about somebody trying to maybe sleeping with the ex on the day of the wedding. You subconsciously, the person is feeling like, I'll miss some of the part of the happiness that this other person was bringing in my life. And you understand, before I'm moving to this other side, it's because it's 1 + 1 that will make 1. It's not 1 + half. You see, 1 + half will not. It's like they say, the mathematical equation is 1 + 1 coming to make 1. The challenge a lot of time is we have very incomplete people. I used to tell you, the Bible says we are complete in Christ. It means that what? An individual should be complete. I always take the example, you have heard me use this example a lot of time here about radiator and engine. I said a radiator is supposed to connect to an engine to cool an engine off. You understand? You put water in a radiator to cool an engine off. But if the radiator is burst in itself, you say, look, you have a car. I'm sure you are going to fix it if your radiator is burst. If the radiator is burst in itself, it can never carry out that. If an engine go knock. So we need complete. Complete does not mean that I used to tell people, complete does not mean that you don't need another person. But complete means that you should be complete in yourself, so that you are not going like I say that my wife or my partner should not be the first bag I am carrying, but together we are carrying back. So I think that's the first issue. And when you are not find that self, that thing within you that can make you okay on your own. Like I've mentioned here, they say, if you find a wife, you discover a wife is already a woman who is distinguished from other women. And what distinguishes kind of woman is a woman who already knows something, who is able to handle a union that will birth a family and affect even the community. So I think one of the major issues starts from when men are looking for others. It means, like you say, like I've said here, that some women are looking for who can't take away my suffer from my family, who can't wipe away my tears. They are not looking at what they are bringing to the table. They are only looking at who will give me what. This will always lead to disappointment, pain, and more. I think this is one of the core reasons why a lot of times people come, I think say. Because they come, reality sets in, responsibility set in, and then the other person does not look like that person that will give you that happiness that you thought you would have. Because the reality of any relationship is there is conflict, there is pressure, there is pain at times, but happiness, that true sense of happiness, must first come from a sense of self-worth, value, and you discover even love finds its joy, but in giving, not just in receiving. So I think that pain starts more when we only think about what we are receiving, who will complete me. But I think we have to be complete in ourselves first. Okay, let's get from Ms. Asanji Yvette from Bomenda, Northwest Regional Capital. Tell us what she thinks about this topic for today.
Hello, Mr. Leo. Greetings to you. Greetings to my co-panelists, and special greetings to everyone watching us at this moment in time. Mr. Leo, talking about if a man or a woman, married man or woman, can find happiness out there, honestly, I think happiness is, first of all, the state of the mind. Happiness is the state of well-being. Like psychologists will tell you that happiness is a state of well-being and contentment. Now, different things can make different people happy. We have external things. We have things like material things that can make somebody happy. We have things like educational level. So people can achieve a certain level of education and it makes them feel happy. Your health could be in one piece and it actually makes you happy. So there are a lot of different things that can characterize a human being's happiness. But if you read one of my quotes read, it is normal that somebody you love can ruin, they can ruin your day as early as even 4 a.m. Just imagine you get up in the morning, you pick up a quarrel with your spouse. You can actually leave you feeling somehow the rest of that day. But so my quote reads, it is normal that somebody you love can ruin your day, but your absolute happiness or your happiness should not be left in the hands of somebody else, or your absolute happiness should not be left in the hands of somebody else. So we have, like I said, different kinds of happiness, but true happiness comes from within. True happiness comes from within. And I will tell the viewers, if you're naturally not somebody that is happy, if you're not a happy person when you are single, please be careful. Even marriage itself might not make you happy, because it starts with you. That's the state of well-being. It starts with you, contentment. How contented are you with what you have? Are you the kind of person that you keep looking at what you don't have rather than what you have? Those are the kind of small things that can take away somebody's happiness. So happiness, like I said, depends a lot on different things, but it is more of something that comes from within. There are people that are naturally happy people. Even if something were to happen today and they get angry, they get sad, their sadness cannot be prolonged. But we have the melancholy, the melancholy personality. Those are people that they're naturally, first of all, sad people. They're naturally sad, sometimes even for no reason. Then if something were to happen again and add to that sadness, it could really take them a long time to come out from the sadness, because there are people that think a lot. There are people that find themselves in deep thoughts, and so they keep thinking of what you had done wrong rather than what you've done right. They remember those wrongs that you've done to them long ago. So this kind of personality, these people are people that even if you were to try to make them happy, they cannot really get happy to a certain extent. They'll get happy at the moment, but then before you know it, they have changed their mood, because they have constant mood swings. So happiness is more of, it comes from the inside. I mean, that genuine happiness, that real happiness. Things outside you can influence your happiness, but when we talk about real happiness, it comes from the inside. That's the choice you make. The choice you make to stay happy. It is about choices. What is your choice? Are you the kind of person that have choose to be happy no matter everything that happens around you? Now, if you're that kind of person, you realize that even if things around you happen and they want to influence or reduce your kind of happiness, but you will not get completely too depressed or too sad, like those that have choose sadness already as a way of life. So your choice matters a lot. You can make a choice today, a wise choice to be happy, and then you begin to pursue those things that can make you happy. But if you want to depend solely on human being, if you want to depend solely on marriage to make you happy, sometimes marriage has turns. Sometimes there are good times, sometimes there are bad times. So if you want to depend solely on marriage to be happy, I'm surprised. I will tell you that you might never have that kind of happiness.
You may never have that type of happiness. Good evening, Mr. Leo. Please ask Apostle Ambe, what is the right age for a man and a woman to get married, and how can you differentiate between a wife and a woman? But Augustine, writing from Mamfe, good evening to you. all of you guys watching us from Manu Division. Good evening to you all, Mr. Leo. Marriage might make people happy, but it is no guarantee of happiness. Happiness is a state of mind. You are responsible for your own happiness. If you expect others to make you happy, chances are you always end up disappointed. Some marriages today are battlefields. Emmanuel, writing from Yaoundé. Good evening, Mr. Leo. Mary, writing from Bamenda. What of a woman who is in a man's house and is refusing to go to farm, cook food for the husband? The husband goes to the farm, comes back and cooks food. The highest thing the woman do is moving from one place to another, buying her food and eating. She will tell the husband, you can also cook. All this, she said, she is doing that because she have not paid her bride price, that until her bride price is paid before she will go to the farm or cook. And the husband is stressed, not knowing if he should go and pay the bride price with that attitude. And she has a friend that is encouraging her to live that way. That is bad company. If you don't want, you think that he's irresponsible. Instead of eating his money, just leave now. Yes, just leave the man. Good evening, Mr. Liu. The topic tonight is so impressive. Ote Samuel Etonge, writing from Big Mbandi, Mbonge subdivision. Good evening to you, Ote. Good evening. Hello, Mr. Leo. Good evening. Please, there is no sound. Check your sound system. I don't know how others are getting it while you cannot. Desmond, can you people check the sound? Others are writing while you say there's no sound. Now, can one effectively get happiness out of their marital home?
Yes, Mr. Leo. If the individual decides to be happy, whether married or not married, you're supposed to be happy. Okay. Yes. I don't see how marriage became a qualification for happiness. Okay. Marriage is not a prerequisite for happiness. And being unmarried also is not a prerequisite for sadness. Okay. Except the way we interpret it.
Because yes, some people they are happy unmarried people.
That is what I'm telling you. There are very many people who are not married, but they are unhappy. And there are many persons who are equally married, they are also unhappy. So marriage is not a prerequisite for marriage for happiness. Neither unmarriage is a prerequisite for sadness. I think individuals in question are supposed to know if they wish to be happy or not. Happiness is absolutely, I repeat, absolutely a choice. It is your choice. It is your choice to be happy or not to be happy. You see, based on the way you are brought up, the environment in which you are brought up can influence if you are going to be happy over circumstances or not happy over circumstances. There are people who cry over every single problem, and there are others who have gone through a lot that some things come, they only laugh. I read the story of a woman who gave birth to 7 children and lost about 5. And then when the 6th child died, they told her, she burst into laughter. She'd seen death until it had not become a friend. What someone would have been crying, she was laughing, and so because she's already used to. There are some people who have gone through some challenges that they have decided to make themselves happy in that challenge. For instance, somebody falls, break the leg, they take him to the hospital, and then try to treat the leg did not get well, and then finally realize that they will end on a wheelchair. Initially, they are sad. But as the days go by, and they see the situation, they get to adapt to it and choose to live their life. So it's your choice. I've seen men that if they fall in some circumstances, I've seen a blind man who is very excited. And you ask him, were you born blind? He said, I wasn't born blind. Initially, when this thing happened, there was a problem. There's a crippled man in Congo right now who is a gospel singer. He said he wasn't born like that. A sickness came on him and he became paralyzed. Initially, they took him from place to place. They got frustrated. And then he says, stumbled across the scripture, John chapter 9, that said, this man was not born like this. This thing happened to him so the power of God be revealed. He now accepted the status quo, and then he's happy in that situation. I've seen many blind people, disabled people, disadvantaged people in life who are happy because they've come to accept their situation and then decided to adapt to the situation and accept the way it is. But that was not how they were, which means happiness is your choice. I've seen women who have lost their husband, they will initially cry. Some will say they will not get married again. Some will say they are going to die again. Some will say they are going to commit suicide. After 2-3 years, you see them in some occasion, they are dancing and drinking and celebrating, looking for another husband. That situation was a period where sadness came, and they choose to walk over it and then choose to live their lives. So happiness has to do with the individual in question. And I've also seen persons who have lost their husband and refuse to never to get married again. And they say they will die them like that. That's somebody who has chosen to maintain that situation like that. And to answer a question somebody said there that how can somebody differentiate between a woman and a wife? God never gave anybody a wife. The description for the woman that God gave to man was a helper. Wife is an adjective from English language to describe the creature that was given to Adam. There's nothing like a wife. It's just a description. That word wife. Are you guys what I'm saying? You are following me. So what you should be looking is a helper. She may have the structure of a woman, but not a helper. She may have all the secondary sexual characteristics, but not a helper. So what God gave a woman, God gave to man in the beginning in Genesis chapter 2 verse 18, he said, let us look for him a helper. Good. She is beautiful. She is fair in complexion. She has pointed breasts. Her hips are like the mountains of Judea. Her legs are like the cedars of Lebanon. She has pointed breasts like the pomegranates of Galilee. She's beautiful. Is she a helper? That's the woman I just described. She becomes a wife when she is a helper. Helper in what way? This is a question we are talking right now. Somebody sang a song so many years ago and said, ma chérie, maintenant on se marie plus au hasard. Si j'ai payé courant, if Bible calls a woman a helper, if not stronger than you, if I have to carry this table up and need a helper, it needs somebody with an equal opposite force like I am to lift up that thing up there. So a helper is somebody who shares responsibility.
That's why I tell a lot of women, a lot of young girls, don't make so many big plans yet when you are single. Because when you get married, some of those plans may never come to pass. Because at the end of the day, you're going to sink into what your husband does. If your husband goes to Yaoundé, maybe you go together. Your husband travels abroad, maybe you go together. And so many other things. Because at this society where we find ourselves in, it is the woman that comes in to push the man's vision. Mm-hmm. It's only in few cases where we see the man pushing the woman's vision. For example, especially in our churches today, it's difficult to see a woman that has a church and the husband is very supportive. It's difficult. Not that they are not there. They are there. There are some churches, and few of them are found in Nigeria, where we see some women that are preaching in the prophetic, and the husband have no choice than to follow behind, because that's where money is coming from, and that's where what they're looking for is coming from. That's exactly what this whole thing is about. So I think that before you start making plans as a woman, the first thing you ask yourself is, what kind of man do I want to get married to? And start making your plan. A woman who does not have a vision will be looking at marriage as the vision. Mm-hmm. What will be my goal? My goal now for getting married with some better hall where they put the color where I go use them. Now color. Begin to go around asking their friends about which color is good. Go to the internet and checking for colors and checking for everything. And this thing. Sometimes people want to even go to do shopping in Dubai. They want to do shopping in Dubai. We see a lot of things like that. And because of that, they are finding themselves into so many hurts. And can you imagine, Mr. Leo, some of these girls even go after men to get money to sponsor their wedding? Very shocking. They go after men to get money to sponsor their wedding. They tell the boy, say, no worry, if you don't get plenty money, no worry, my family go sponsor them. The family they are talking about is their boyfriends and their old boyfriends and men. So when they enter home, they home. So how does that kind of home function? How would they move? How would they work? Because you built a fantasy. You built your skyscrapers on the sky. No vision. Ask a woman, every other woman today, ask them who want to marry. What's your vision? What's your goal? I want marry with you. Now that was one month that to an average girl that might spoil things. Mm-hmm. I said, don't talk about it. I said, until after the Wisdom Festival. Wisdom Festival is our mega celebration of the mandate. Now, why was that? I did not want anything, because there is a vibration, there is a vision, there is a mandate, there is something in everybody's life. The honest truth is, I saw somebody once said something. You did not come to this life just to be happy, but to fulfill purpose. You will discover that sometimes in fulfilling purpose, because we don't define happiness well, the time Jesus is crying in the Golgotha until blood is coming out, that's a pain. That's a time in somebody's life that there's pain. But now somebody will say that, can that be God's plan for somebody's life? If I just begged, Papa, go, if we skip the part. You get it, but you will discover that. But he knew that that is the only way for him to have a name above all other names. So you will discover that although it did not gratify the flesh, there is an inner joy
in pleasing God. And that's why we've always been saying here. And in that pleasing God, is saying that what is because you realize that what you are. I always say that you are the manufacturer's product. He made you for something. Your joy and happiness should be in fulfilling that purpose. So truly, like you said, Mr. Leo, the honest truth is many people, especially nowadays where people, I know more than, I remember a time when they were saying that all pastors were like, I'm marrying a mami wata. When I was growing up, in fact, when I was growing up, I knew that the greatest people who used to marry marine spirits are pastors. Why? I came to realize in my research, Mr. Leo, as a relationship expert, I discovered the challenge was more than 75% of these pastors married their wives not as pastors. The women, it was in the marriage, some after having 1, 2, 3 children, that got up one day and said, God has called me. Now we're going to suffer this thing together. Now the woman did not even have time to adjust, make a decision, count her cost. Because even the Bible says you should count your cost before undertaking a journey. If not, you will begin and not complete. And then the Bible says that the people will mock you. You understand? So in counting the cost, so many of these women began to retaliate. This is not what I chose for. I accepted to help you for. And now it became that they are fighting the ministry, because when a man is consumed by purpose and passion, it's everything. I always say, tell women, know that a man's first thing in this life is work. Not even you, it's work. Yes. God gave a man work first. So you would discover his happiness, his joy first stems in fulfilling that assignment. So I think when now a woman, because let's not say it's not only men who have purposes, women have purpose. And in finding that, they discover that they become better helpmates. So when they don't discover it and then they enter the house, or a man also who is insecure and begins to, instead of pushing, for example, if Apostle Ambe was insecure, he will not be pushing his wife, go to school, go and do this. And then now the woman, maybe even the gospel he's preaching is brewing inside of her, and she discovered that I was made for more. And then you discover that she finds that the marriage is instead covering me, then that woman will find herself maybe being unhappy. So I think vision, purpose plays a vital role, especially when you are after God and you're after living a life of fulfillment. Fulfillment comes from purpose, not just because you have a man or a woman beside you. So if these things click, you will enjoy. If it does not click, there are little things that will get you a problem. For example, that 1 month now, my wife would have been like, I know different that Wisdom Festival, because you do it until you want. Now she sat quiet. Then when we finished the festival, I said, now, it took us 1 month. Can we talk about wedding? She said, yes. In 1 month, we got married. Okay.
Doom Edwin writing from Douala Lokpum, happiness can equally come from outside marriage. This is because some women always grossly exaggerate wickedness. I've seen men who proudly say they find happiness only when they are out of their homes. Such women do not want any change, and they can't be satisfied no matter what you may do to satisfy them. But can you react to this? There's some women who are also very difficult to please, as well as some men, and many men who really would just leave the house in the morning. Even after work, they go somewhere, they have their drinks, and then they come back to the house just to sleep.
Of course, there are women like that. You see, when we argue, we don't argue on one side. There are also men like that who have made their homes hell for their wives. Let's talk from the side of the man. There are women who are very, very naive. They are naggy in nature. They disturb. They make the whole house becomes a living hell. Somebody said, men stay where they find peace. Where do women stay? Women stay where they find what? Somebody also said that eating bitter kola is an aphrodisiac for men. Yes, eat your bitter kola and become charged up to make love. What has your wife also eaten to be charged? It's a charging coming only from one side. Men charge themselves. They will take Guinness and take bitter kola and charge themselves. The woman you are going to meet, has she charged herself? Have you found out what charges are? So sometimes when we want to do this argument, we should do on both sides. Practically, there are some women that can turn their homes to hell. They see nothing good in what the man does. Those are women who are specialized in pointing every single error. I'm sure I mentioned here one time on this platform that if you live in a house where somebody brings your notice to every single mistake you do, that house becomes a hell on earth. For instance, you can drink water and leave the cup here. A mature woman will just pick and correct it. Some must call your attention. I say, be man like you drink water, leave cup for here. That house becomes hell. You come back home, as you are learning, she does not even give you an opportunity. She begins to give you the bills of what are supposed to be paid. the children's fees, the electricity fees here, and then you are even trying to gather yourself. You have not eaten. Those are the kind of things that make men look like as if it's hell. Men can easily fall in the hands of women who will look at those disadvantages from your wife and give the direct opposite. As a counselor, I've seen women, when talking to me, when I respond, they see the kind of husband they are looking for in me as compared to what they left in the house. It's the same thing. When a man is tormented by a woman in the house and he goes out, he must air out his mind to the woman he's going to meet outside. That woman now who has listened to what is that woman's in the house disadvantage will now build her empire with the strength of the woman's weakness. So the man begins to compare the two of them. I said, but when I go to one, he massage my back, he talk for me small. Leave that woman in your house and go and marry this new one. You will now understand that she was doing a bait to catch up, because women protect what they have not caught. They don't protect what they have caught. That's the reason why most marriages break. Because when they want you, they give you their best. As soon as they catch you in their net, they see no need anymore to protect you. There is an attitude before marriage, and there's an attitude after marriage. And most women have the best of attitude before marriage. And after that, they believe that we don't sign for court now. You don't pay my bride price now. We'll get picking them now. In if you go anyhow. When she puts all those factors on ground, she can put up any attitude. But to a woman who does not have a stand in your life, she knows you can walk away at any time. She will give you the best of attitude. It's when you leave your wife in the house to go and stay with this new woman, before you understand that living with somebody for 24 hours is different from spending 2-3 hours with another person. The woman outside,
not every day.
Not even every day. The woman outside is a 2-3 hours affair, and not every day. But this woman you are living with is 24 hours every day in your house, and you will see every single mistake she does. You don't see the mistakes of those who are far away. So we don't encourage people to start thinking like those people outside will give you temporal peace are actually the people who carry your happiness. That's the truth. So when you say men find happiness outside, it's strange. It's strange.
Okay. No man finds happiness out there, please. It is ephemeral. A happy man marries.
That's what it means.
A happy man marries a woman he loves. An unhappy man can never find happiness in marriage. When you find your purpose, you find happiness. Emmanuel writing from Yaoundé, the only keeper of your happiness is you. Okay. Good evening, Mr. Leo. I'm enjoying your program with the wonderful ideas coming from your panelists. Mr. Leo, please wish to ask if there is any precise time for a woman or a man to get married. George is writing from Bafut. Yes, but somebody asked this question also.
Yes, according to the penal code, the age for a woman to get married is 15 years, and for a man is 18 years. That's the penal code. But as a marriage counselor, those people are too naive to begin life together. They will have to fight and query and wound each other until they reach around the age of 30 before they start getting balanced. That's the truth. So if we want to follow according to what the penal code says, 15 is for girls, 18 is for women. But we'll never advise you to there.
I'm thinking he's not asking about the age per se. He should be asking about what's the right time.
Yeah, but the two messages are talking about age.
What
would you advise?
The right time should be better than age. Because even at the age of 40, 45, people still get married and it messed up. They still fuck up in marriage and everything. But we believe that the right time to get married is when you're prepared psychologically, emotionally, spiritually, and physically.
And that's why now that 15 now might look small.
Yes.
Small.
Based on that we don't invest on that generally in our culture as we're growing up. I always tell you, I say you cannot compare this with the Western world and the exposure. So sometimes.
As a matter of fact, that age of 15 years, still a student.
Okay.
Still going to school.
Good evening. In the studio, I will say every mature person is responsible for his or her happiness, meaning it's a choice regardless of your status. So if a married man or woman thinks he or she happy out of home, the reality is there is a deformation caused by lack of maintenance or adaptation in that home, which I believe was once a happy home. Please, let's get ourselves educated about marriage before getting into it, because sadly, youths of our days are only busy preparing for the wedding ceremony. I'm Muki Damaris watching from Limbe. Good evening to you, Damaris. Good evening, Mr. Leo. How can someone choose a wife? Is Edward writing from Yaoundé? Pray to God. God will direct your steps. Good evening, Mr. Kum and my dear Leonard and men of God. On the panel, there's no home void of squabbles. Thomas Hardy says in his palatable write-up that happiness is but an occasional episode in the general drama of pain. I reckon with this philosophy in two. Hilary Punti Wan Sambi, writing from Banja subdivision. Geraldine Tamfu watching from Bamenda. I don't think a married man or woman can find true happiness out of their homes. Firstly, whether man or woman invest in your home what you want to profit, plant in your home what you want to harvest. There is nothing outside more than what you have in your home already. Good evening, Mr. Leo. I'm so happy for you and the members of the program. I'm enjoying it well in Marwa. I wish to appreciate Apostle, the right description of a wife. Eno, okay. Good evening to you, Mr. Leo, and everyone in the studio. I'm really enjoying your program. I have learned a lot today. May God continue to bless and give you guys strength to impact us with wisdom. Good evening to you. Glad reading from you. Good evening, Mr. Liu. No one can give you consistent happiness. Only you can make yourself happy all the time. Stanley watching from Kuwait. Good evening, sir. Writing from Kumba. Can you be happy when you are not having money and your wife don't love you the way you are? Yes, that is one of my questions. We're talking about happiness in a home. Yes, with riches, you have a beautiful home, you have almost everything. Is that a guarantee for true happiness?
Well,
because almost everybody, when you're praying for a husband now,
a rich man.
Yes, the dream is the guy who have a house, a car, and everything.
Yes.
I'm going to be happy.
Even those who are rich can testify that they are not happy.
Okay.
Many of them, they'll tell you, riches are just a source of bringing you a lot of unhappiness. Because some things that are not necessary, people will not have put eyes on you to call you for help. They just begin to call you, and a lot of people begin to come to the house, a lot of problems here and there you have to handle. You have this to settle, you have that to settle, and then you have the money. And sometimes you're also worried about thieves, you're worried about armed robbers, and you have so many enemies as a rich person. So now we also know that a lot of rich people have this particular weakness that they can't really satisfy their wife on bed. That's it. We should also think about that. A lot of them, they can't really satisfy their wives on bed because they have heard the testimonies.
Is there research? Are you talking based on research?
Yes. Statistically speaking, they can't really satisfy their wife on bed because they are hardly available.
Okay.
Today he's in US, tomorrow he's in Dubai, tomorrow he's in this, he goes to Yaoundé, the driver is going with, he doesn't have time. And many of them have about different wives in different places, different women. So at the end of the day, the pain that comes from these rich marriages, why are we having these sugar mummies and all the like? Why are we having them? Most of them are married women. And they go out for these young boys because of what they're not happy. Their home is, financially they have the money. But when it comes to this romantic body languages and all the like, they don't have it, because a man will come back in the house and they say, I don't tire, beg, I don't want to hear something. Take money, there's money on the table. And that is all. Their language is money. And it becomes a problem at home. Because now what happens? What happens as a rich man? They believe that they can pay for sex if they want. And then the kind of sex they want is not what the wife at home is ready to give. Sometimes they want 3 some, they want 2 some, they want 4 some. They want to have 2 women this way, 2 men, and then they want one bath and all the like. And then they want to touch different women at the same time. What happens? What happens? They pay for it. They can pay for it. Something that if you're a poor man, you can't pay for that because it's very expensive. Yes.
I don't know threesome. Is it some wine?
No. Threesome is you, the man, having 2 different women besides you. Yeah, you finish with this one, you turn to this other side, and that's what they feel. So rich people always go for that. So now when you leave that kind of a life and you come back home, what happens? What happens to you? You come back home, you're tired. You come back home, you cannot even look at it. High years is that I put money in your account, 1 million. There's 500,000 francs. That your brother that you say was sick, there's money for this thing, and that's all. So happiness is far-fetched. And I know that if there are rich people are watching me now, they will tell you that they find it very difficult. But although we have God-fearing rich people who will not go for all that, but also there will be all that limitation.
There are so many distractions.
So many distractions. So many distractions. You have this meeting, that meeting, board meeting, this meeting, and that meeting. Not that you don't want to do it.
Every occasion they expect you
yes,
to
you are the chairman, because that's what happens. Even in our churches today, we don't allow the rich people to rest because the rich people, they will always come, and some of the women are angry. They are not happy because you are always calling for their husband to be chairman in the church. You never call them, maybe sometimes come and be the chair lady. You call the chairman, and then he goes to church sometimes.
And he's seated with another lady.
Good.
At the high table.
And spend so much money in church in an occasion. And then when he comes back home, the woman is sad. That's it. So there's a lot of pain in marriage. There's a lot of pain. And we pray that this kind of teachings we are teaching is going to help a lot of people. It's going to bring so much healing to people because of what? You will hear this and begin to strategize. Because in certain things like this, is it that we should not be rich? No, we should be rich. But the fun is that we should be able to identify those factors that can keep marriage going.
Yeah, but now, he is saying that necessarily riches won't make your marriage happy.
Yeah.
You are using the case of the very rich man. Now, if it's the lady who is very rich, will the husband be necessarily happy, pleased, because the account is big, maybe the cars are there, and
there is something that there's a reason why they say I am happy, not I have happy or I have happiness. In the equation of life, most of the times people make the error of thinking that you have to become. On the contrary, we were designed by God. God is the I am, not I have. It means that you are before you have. I have always explained this even when in my finance master classes. I explain to people that you don't have money because you are rich. No. You understand? You are rich. Money is the outcome of the being. It's not the money, it's not what you have that made you. So a person is already rich in maybe ideas, mindset, in all of this before it translates to having. So most of the times people think that if I have money, if I have more girls, if I have better house, if I have more cars, I will become happy. So the becoming is not by having. You actually become, then you have. This is how it's supposed to be. So, unfortunately, that's the whole thing that you have been arguing. Whether it's a woman who has the money or the man who has the money. I know a poor man say, "Man, forget that money first." Yes, when you finally get there,
I'll get the kind woman I want. I'll live in the kind house I want.
Good.
I will get the kind picking that I want.
Yeah, but the honest truth is, if we cannot see that there are people with very modest lives who are happy, then we are stupid. Even in the Bible, I always tell people when I preach, I say God wants us to be rich. But rich does not mean all of us will be billionaires. Let nobody fool us. The church is not a place where God is raising billionaires and just millionaires. Because being rich means to be fully supplied.
We are all kings and priests now.
Kings and priests don't mean billionaires, man of God. So if we don't get this, being rich...
we are all seated in heavenly places.
True. So being rich means to be fully supplied. Having enough and then being able to handle your... That's how Paul defines it. Having enough and being able to handle your kingdom assignment, handle your responsibilities.
Okay.
So I believe that it goes both ways. Whether it's a woman who has or it's a man who has, there are no things that make men happy. We are just executioners of God's things on earth. And that's why I say happiness or joy comes from an innermost self-being of a reality from within, which comes from who you are and not just what you have.
Man of God, you know, my focus to you was on women who are rich, whether they can necessarily make a man happy.
If they have the money, right? I've said that we are...
Can they make the man happy because they are rich?
No, it's not necessarily true. But we cannot just write off money, because we have said it here, time without numbers, that money is an expression. But just having money does not make you become happy. That's what I keep. That was my point. So I say it's both ways. So even if the woman have, because truly there are many men who say, if my woman be fit support me so, be she support me so, we have said it here, there are things that women give that are beyond money. There are things that a woman is even useful to you, not just because of what they do, but what they don't do. Sometimes you are looking, I just need to put away, I think Kamba, it just don't quiet first. Look me. Yes, that's what I talk about helper. So I don't think that, but when a woman, because we have seen people, have we not seen guys who take their girlfriends or their wife's money and still go and spend it on other girls? Is that not what happens? I know of a case I was solving here. The girl sent money, paid for the bride price, did everything, carried the man abroad. The woman was talking to me. It's been 3 years. The man landed abroad, touched her once, and for 3 years they have never made love again. It's a case I'm handling. I handled that about 3 months ago.
Every day.
Yes. That means the man, she took the man from here, brought the man over. The man, when the man arrived, he said, I was surprised, man of God. I thought he was tired. I rested. The man did not touch me. Next day, I thought he was still adapting to the climate. Second, I was, you have not seen me for how many years? I thought we happy. By that forcing, they made love that day. I said, this is 3 years. The man has not touched me.
But they are living together?
Yes.
Yeah, but I think so many lessons to learn this evening as Apostle. That when you are dreaming of getting married and you want to be happy, how do you prepare to get a happy marriage?
That is why we say we have
don't sit and you are watching. You are dreaming that the day you get married to one millionaire or billionaire, you'll be happy. Because he will not be there for you.
Yeah.
Sir, you want to get married to Apostle Ambe. He spends 2 weeks in Abuja. He spends the other 2 weeks in Chicago. He's in Yaoundé, he's in Marwa. So I don't know how you'll be happy in this circumstance. You see Apostle Alfred here. You see the way that man talks, he knows the Bible. If I get married to him, yes. Apostle, this thing is difficult. Very difficult.
Mr. Leo, we were not asked to get married to men. We were asked to get married to husbands. We are not asked to get married to women, asked to get married to wives.
Yes.
Who is a husband? Husband is an agricultural word from the word husbandry. A husband is somebody who cultivates. That means a woman given to every man is a seed. For a woman to find happiness, the joy of every seed is to cultivate it to become a tree. Because you begin to see the blossomness of a seed when it grows into a tree. You begin to see the fruits of a seed when it grows into a tree. So every woman given to a man, you as a husband, your responsibility is to cultivate the seed given to you by God so that it begins to blossom. That is why the Bible says the glory of a man is the woman. Which means if a woman meets a man the woman is dull, then the woman is supposed to spring forth in glory because the man has that capacity to cultivate that seed. That's one of the things we don't understand. And if you fall in the hand of somebody who is not a husband, he doesn't have that cultivating attitude, because a husband takes care of the seed, nurtures the seed, molds the seed until the seed begins to produce. But if the seed falls in the hand of somebody who is not a husband, it is destroyed. That's why I say he giveth seed to the sower and bread to the eater. What you call seed is what we call bread. The difference is the mindset. One man is eating yam seed as supper, another person is planting it for the next harvest. So two men receiving the same seed, one is bread, the other is seed. That's the reason why most women, when they fall in the hands of people who are not husbands, they kill the seed. A girl was a powerful singer, a good agronomist, a good businesswoman before she met you. When they came, your jealousy coaxed that thing and then suffocated that talent in the woman and killed it. You are not a husband.
She ends up nothing.
Yeah.
She dies off. Coming back to the place of who is a helper. The woman who is called wife. Wife is a medical word that has to do with midwifery. A midwife is somebody that helps a woman to deliver what the person carries in him. So, delivering something, you don't need money. You need intelligence. That is the reason why when a woman meets a man, for instance, if you are married to Apostle Johnson Suleiman with all the scandals, that's where you find a wife. A wife does not join the public to swallow you up. The wife helps that thing that is in you in the midst of pressure to come out. That has nothing to do with money. It has to do with maturity. It has to do with attitude. So a helper is not somebody who supports you only financially. It's a Jesus grew in wisdom, that's mental, and in stature, economical. He was in favor with God, spiritual, and with man, social. A woman has to play that role if you have to deliver. She has to be an emotional support. When everyone is against you, she has to believe in you. When nobody trusts you, your wife should be the last person. If the whole world criticizes you and your wife stands, you can survive. If your wife criticizes you and the whole West stands with you, you will fail. Because why? People can easily believe what comes from her because she lives with you in the house. Every other word outside can be a rumor, but the one that comes from your wife will be taken with a pinch of salt. So a woman is a helper emotionally first, because people don't succeed financially. They succeed emotionally first for financially. I have seen billionaires in cash who did not have emotional balance and they crumble. Yeah. That is why we have to be very, very technical. I say, I wish above all things that you may prosper, even as your soul prospereth. So it has to do with emotion. Not the kind of woman where she will hear outside that the man has slept with somebody and she say, hey, not Nasabi. No. So the man will come on television and say, not my husband. The whole world is speaking one language, she's speaking the direct opposite of what the world is speaking. That's emotional balance. Economically, a woman is a helper. When responsibilities fall on a man's shoulder too much, it outweighs him and makes him become frustrated. I have seen men that anger bursts out of them when the responsibility in the family becomes too much on them. Yes. A woman becomes supportive economically. A woman equally becomes supportive socially, in the sense that the children, their responsibility is not fully the man's responsibility. It's not only Papa that will be called always for homework. Because there are men who are the ones who do homework from January to December. Let's consider a woman was not educated. If a woman is educated and every homework is on the man's shoulder, that woman has a problem. Spiritually speaking, a woman first and foremost, your number one assignment is an intercessor. You are not called to find the errors of a man. You are called to pray a man out of errors. That's a responsibility. So if a woman plays all this role, you realize that money has just at least 10% of what a woman has to bring in a home. A lot of things are in place. That's why you see a billionaire husband is not a guarantee for a successful marriage. Meanwhile, a billionaire woman is not guaranteed for successful marriage. You can have that money and emotionally you are broken down. You can have that money, socially you are lampooned. You can have that money and equally spiritually you are brought down. A man that has money as a pastor and the woman does not allow him to pray, does not allow him to study, does not allow him to run the church successfully, such a person will fail not because of financial hardship, but because of emotional and spiritual imbalance. A lot of things are in play when it comes to who is a wife and who is a husband.
Okay. Greetings to you, Mr. Liu, and the panelists. The answer to your question is yes. I have met a man who testified that he finds happiness out of his home. Kennedy is writing from Yaoundé. Kennedy, pray that God should touch that man. Good afternoon to you in the panel. Fine program. Good afternoon to you. Okay, thank you very much. Whatever is chasing that man out of the house, let God arrest that thing. Good evening, Mr. Liu. A woman or a man can never be happy in marriage if he or she finds an advantage in each other before getting married. Marriage is a fulfillment and satisfaction, not an advantage taken opportunity, because when that opportunity or advantage is absent, tomorrow everything falls down. Celestine Yu is writing from Bomenda. Good evening, Mr. Liu. It is impossible to find happiness outside your home. Nerus is writing from Bomenda. This one says, rich women instead turn their husbands into toys. Most rich women have that notion that if he's not there, I will cope, and if he is there, I will cope. So they do anything. Okay. Good evening, Mr. Liu. I'm watching from Douala. It's a very nice program. Thank you. Hello, Mr. Liu. I'm glad about the program. Since I was born, myself and brothers have lived under domestic violence from my father to my mother and us. I am the 29 today. Okay. Hello, Mr. Leo. Marriage is good. If I get married, we man they come give me na money for exchange for spend time with me. I go glad. Money changes everything. Money no they can change person. If we are not a caring husband or wife, it is your character. Money only amplifies who you really are. Haz is writing from Bafusam. Mr. Leo, please channel me this question to Apostle Ambe. Apostle Ambe, thanks very much for the clarification on the differences between a woman and a wife. As a young person looking up to get married in the future, I would like to know Apostle, what is the right age for a man or woman to get married? For example, I'm 24 years old. Now looking at prospects of our generation, young people just think marriage, everything in the way life's okay. I don't know. Your message is not too clear. So, Apostle, will you drill me on this issue? Is it good for young persons to rush into marriage? And also, is it good for a girl 18 or 20 years to get married to a man of about 70 years?
Let me give you the testimony of Archbishop Nicholas Duncan William. He said men get married, not boys. That he got married at the age of 24 because he was asked that he needed to get married, not because he knew what was marriage. If at your age of 24 you are vested in knowledge and you are mature enough to handle, nobody will stop you. There are adults of 40 years who act like babies. And there are men of 25 who act like adults.
Me, I got married at 25.
I got married at the age of 26 years old.
I got married at 25.
Okay, let us get the second intervention of Miss Asanji Yvette from Pomenda. She's been silent for too long.
So naturally, cultivate your happiness first. Make it a routine that you choose to be happy, even if what is happening around you. Yes, I'm not saying that you will obviously or those things will not affect you, but they were going to affect you. But at the end of the day, it is still your choice to allow them completely influence you negatively, or you're going to have a positive energy out of everything. So make a choice to stay happy. That's the first thing. Now, Mr. Leo will talk about married man or woman finding happiness out there. Honestly, I want to talk about the men in particular. Most men think that when they have problems at home, they can rush out there. You know, some they say they call it phase 8, some call it phase 8, some call it consolation, whatever name they are calling it, they rush out there to side chicks to get that happiness. So, but if somebody had actually cultivated the happiness I'm talking about, first you would discover that you don't need another woman. Let's say your wife made you angry, you will not go and need another woman to make you happy. Because if your happiness is coming from a woman, let's say your happiness is linked to a woman, it therefore means that even your wife at home could give you that happiness. So if you have problems, there are problems. Marriage is bound to have misunderstandings, but it not depends on you. Instead of shying away, you don't need to shy away from those misunderstandings and go to look for happiness outside. Rather, you could try to see how you could resolve that problem, and then so you can gain lasting happiness at home, or stable happiness at home. Now, I had a client, a lady. She said whenever the husband is messing up, whenever the husband is not giving her the attention that she wants, excuse me, what she does is she goes and she goes shopping. Yes, that's her own way of keeping herself happy. She goes shopping. So she will go and shop and shop and shop. You know, that's her own kind of hobby that keeps her happy out of the home. So you can have happiness out of the home, but it depends the kind of happiness that you are pursuing, because some of those happiness, like going to a side chick, will actually come with consequences, which you might not obviously like them. So in conclusion, Mr. Leo, you can find happiness first from within. Your happiness has nothing, or it's not completely dependable on the spouse or on the person you got married to. After everything, that person is going to annoy you. They say marriage is the headquarters of all offenses. So if you want to depend solely on your spouse, you're going to realize that your spouse is going to annoy you, even knowingly or unknowingly. Sometimes they'll make you angry without even knowing. That's why communication is vital, because in that kind of a situation, you not tell your spouse that this thing you did annoyed me or made me angry. But maybe they didn't just see it from their perspective that was going to make you angry. So your happiness should be, cultivate that genuine happiness first. Try to be a happy person, and it comes from how you start looking at life. How do you look at life? Are you happy with the things you've been able to achieve, instead of just complaining and murmuring? Be happy with what you've achieved. In fact, what you have achieved so far is somebody's prayer point. So you might be looking at what you're having like it's nothing, whereas somebody's actually praying for it. Somebody's praying for your level. You are asking God for another level, and somebody's praying for your level. So life is 10 by 10. So the first thing is that you must try to be happy with what you have. Try to find happiness being contented with what you have, even if it's your level of education. Not everybody that has gone to school is making it in life. I have millionaire clients that have first school living. I mean, they are first school. So if you want to think that maybe it's because you're not too educated, that's why you're feeling down, no, begin to advise yourself. If you feel like you held challenges, still advise yourself. God is faithful to heal you. So the choice to stay happy comes from you. Cultivate that willingness to stay happy. But know that your spouse actually has a lot of role to play as far as the other kind of happiness is concerned. Your spouse can help you become more happier. They can equally try to ruin your day or make you maybe less happy. But that genuine happiness, it's from the inside. Learn to appreciate what you can do more than what you cannot do, and stay positive.
Okay, thank you very much, Mr. Asanji Yvette. Doreen, writing from Tamulung in Bamenda. Greetings, sir. I think the reason why most couples find pleasure outside of marriage is because most people get married for third-party reasons other than love. Money, physical beauty, peer pressure from the society equally. Some good marriages are not possible due to genotype, sickle cell. Okay, Doreen from Tamulung, where I once lived. Evening to the studio. Bravo to Papa Ambe. Always enlighten us in all domains. I'm very interested in so many topics he has debated on. He clarifies where there is no exit. It is today. I hear about the difference between a husband and a man, the difference between woman and a wife. Papa, I would like you to counsel me. I am an IDP. Natalie is writing from Douala. Yes, just watch him every day on my Media Prime. He'll be counseling you. Good evening, Mr. Leo. God bless you for this program. Please, I wish to know what is God's original plan for this thing called marriage. Sir Edwin Paul, writing from Boya. Good evening, Mr. Leo. This Jarvis from Yaoundé. A man can never be happy if he does not have money. Wow. Good evening, Mr. Leo. Apostle Ambe, please can you throw some light on situations whereby a husband cheats and the wife is in support of it? How do we term this? Okay. Good evening, Mr. Liu. Those who think that married people can find happiness out of their marriage are making a big mistake in their life. The devil you know is 100 times better than the beautiful angel you don't know. I'm Idrisu Abdul, writing from Fumbat. Good evening to you, Idrisu. Good evening, Mr. Liu and perfect team. We are with our notebooks missing me. Okay, Derek, writing there from Bonaberi in Douala. If the whole world criticizes you and your wife stands by you, you will prosper. But if your wife criticizes you and the whole world stands by you, you will fail. Apostle Ambe, tell Apostle to make this quote go viral. Alain is writing from Rwanda. Good evening to you, Alain. Okay. Now we are looking at ways to build sustainable happiness in our homes. How do we cultivate and live with this?
The first thing you should know is that no one meets happiness in marriage. You bring happiness into marriage. Now, what did you bring into your marriage? Did you bring joy? Did you bring happiness? And whatsoever. I know in my marriage, there are roles that we have to do together with my wife. Mm-hmm. I remember one time she was pregnant and she was working again at the same time. I was forced to tell her, go and do your master's, your MBA. And she had to enter into it. You know, she wanted to complain that it is difficult, it's challenging. I put the courage behind her and she achieved it. And I'm sure she was very happy. even right up till now, she has never forgotten that testimony. She always gives that testimony. And those are the things that always remain in the mind of a woman. Even when she wants to be angry, she said, no, but I came into this marriage, I was not at this level, but my husband pushed me to develop capacity and become somebody reasonable and so on. And then, you know, to always encourage your partner in the weak times and so on and so forth. And then I want to cite a very, very, very serious area in marriage which a lot of people derive happiness from today, and that is the sex life. Please don't play with your sex life. I beg you, don't play with it. Don't play with it. Don't play with your sex life. Do everything to make sure that you arrange that quarrel, that problem, and sometimes solve your problems with a good sex. Have a good time together. When you say, okay, I forgive you, whatever, let that moment be sealed with that particular time together with your wife. It's a very wonderful thing. I want to say that because there are some people that in their home they don't have erection, but when they go outside with other women, they have erections. Now, in that kind of a case, is because your house is already tight. There's always, your house is sour. So you don't see that woman like a lady. You see her like just another competitor, another rival. But if you see her as your wife, or you see her like that young girl you saw the other day, the truth about it is that you are going to have that erection and things are going to go very on and very fine. I want to plead with the women. You are the one that makes your bed a wonderful one. You're the one that do it. I'm telling you, women are good in that. If you want the bed to be sour, it will be sour. If you want it to be sweet, it will be sweet. If you want happiness to come from there, because I'm telling you the truth, the greater part of marriage, of happiness that come in marriage is that area of body chemistry. Body chemistry brings a lot of power. It makes the adrenaline go so wild and so hard. Happiness is bound to come through that. Happiness is bound to come through that. And then when you give your husband good food, obviously he's going to develop that energy to be able to do what you want him to do. Because a man cannot be eating rice every day and you're expecting him to perform very well. A man cannot be, tired all the time and you expect him to perform very well, and so on. So work out in such a way. There's nothing wrong to prepare a warm bath for your man. Prepare a warm bath that boosts that particular feeling, that particular atmosphere, whatever. It should not be a rainy time and then you're outside all the time, outside raining season and everything, you're out. That's an environment where people have to be together and then boost that companionship and that bonding. Bonding comes, that unity, that oneness comes from when there is always that beauty on sex, beauty on the bed. It comes very wonderfully. We should not play with this thing. That is what is causing a lot of problems. When we talk about men going to look for happiness outside, what are we talking about in most cases? We are talking about sex. We are talking about that pleasure. We are talking about that bonding. And sometimes look at our fathers who retire and they find themselves in the draft. They go and play drafts or whatever. They're finding themselves in bars, drinking and whatsoever. They go away from homes. That is because of what? The woman in the house have already made herself to look like a grandmother. And so there is no that passion that the man wants to stay at home, because some of these men like young girls a lot. So they want the woman at home to make herself up. Why don't you make yourself up? Look good, look beautiful. Try to do something new to arouse your man or to make your man excited. Why are we running away from this task, knowing that this is one of the greatest partners make men go out there to live independently? If your sex life is not good, obviously happiness will not come from that home. No matter how much money you have in that home, happiness will not be there. Obviously, there are some people that are not going to be cheating. They don't want to cheat, so they will just stay in that unhappiness till maybe death comes or something else comes. So I'm telling you, please make that part of your marriage a sweet one. Make it a wonderful one. Don't play with it. If it is not working, there are a lot of herbs today. There are a lot of wonderful things today you can take to boost yourself and to make yourself look good and make you stay long on bed and that kind of a thing. Why not treat yourself and make yourself wonderful so that your man will not go out to look for happiness or your woman will not go out to look for happiness? At first, it was the men that were going to look for happiness, but now it's the women that are going out to look for happiness because of what? The men can no longer perform. They eat a lot of things, they drink a lot of alcohol, they eat a lot of starchy food that is making their system to be weak, and because of that they cannot satisfy the women. The women are everywhere today on the streets. They are just out of the house and they come late to the house and we begin to fight them and want to beat them with our hands only because we could not satisfy them. That's exactly what I'm trying to talk about.
Apostle. Okay, how do we engage our wives and husbands to build this atmosphere that he's talking about, so that we can be jolly in the house?
The first thing is, I would like to say that the happiness will not mean that there will not be conflict. Because also wrong expectation, there's what we call misguided expectations. Misguided expectations are like Apostle Ambe said something. You don't see, for example, I've seen people insult fathers in our nation, insult great people in our nation, only to celebrate people who are far. It's easy to think that the person who is far is lovelier and better and more perfect. You understand? And I've seen couples who separate, fight until knives come out in the pots and everything. Then they separate. After 1 month, they hide and go to the hotel, meet, have sex, enjoy themselves. But you put them in the house, you want to see knives come out again. And you're asking, what is it? I've seen a lot of your siblings who cannot appreciate the talent of their sibling or the other person because they grew up in the same house. Sometimes our challenge with this jolly attitude is that we think that every day will be like a Philippine movie, but that is not true. Life happens. Life is always happening. The mood you wear with Mr. Leo today is not the same mood you wake up with tomorrow, for different reasons. And that's why we keep talking about emotional maturity, financial maturity. The money you're having today does not mean that is the money you have tomorrow. Just come in here, a taxi passed, crashed my car, and removed scattered my bumper in front. Can you imagine? I saw just come in here. Now, I asked about that bumper, they are telling me 90,000. The man is gone. Now, this kind of thing, I go to the house now. Now you are sitting there, they are greeting you, you are thinking 90,000. No, these are some things.
Yes.
Now,
the same man who left the house is not the same
happy. A different man has come back. Now, this is life happening to me. Somebody came and made me. Why is this thing always happening when I say shut up?
They expected you to come like Ramsey Noah.
Good. And maybe, yes, and you can have that picture. Oh, where you go come in. Where you just come in, run like that, come and give me. Sometimes it doesn't mean that I don't want to buy the flower. Maybe I haven't finished every last dime in just getting home. These are realities. So if we all don't build ourselves, so my advice is knowledge. I preach and I said, even in the Bible, we don't feel love, we know love. The Bible says, and to know the love of Christ, not to feel. Because if we are feeling, Mr. Leo, honestly, there's a time you would think God does not love you. Because of the things happening around you, because of the way things or react to things. So I believe there is a knowledge, there is an understanding that transcends. People who can maintain happiness, build happiness, be happy, are people who can transcend their joy and happiness always being external. They are people who have come to know. For example, the woman is quick to realize that, hey, something has happened. And she switches from that expectation. Because of some who hold on. I've been no, so you don't come back. So when people ever can ask, wrong can kiss their woman. Why you ever did that? So now you be the first man where the wrong jamming motor, and all of that. But a person who comes up now with that adaptation, I was expecting. We all have expectation crashed, but we adapted. We swapped. We understood the situation. This is how it was. So we talk about emotional maturity. We talked about, you cannot first of all have that emotional happiness if you are not emotionally mature. The financial maturity. For example, now I cannot kill myself just because something has happened like that. And all of that. So if we put all of this in, personal development has a lot to do with your happiness. So I think both parties should develop themselves personally, and I think that's where even us counselors come in, because I can help you and we can help you to attain that.
Good evening, Mr. Leo. Ngala Albert from Fumban. Most people find pleasure out of marriage because they are abandoned by their spouse. I've seen a woman who cannot spend a week with her husband because she works and attends school elsewhere, away from her home. Okay. Yes.
True.
Good evening, Mr. Leo. Does it mean that if he sins, the woman should support him? Okay. The woman should pray for him. Good evening, Mr. Leo. What if you have a man who never appreciates what a woman does and downgrades the woman even in public? Please, Apostle Ambe, is this a man or a husband? Violet, writing from Boya, you know the answer, Violet. Good evening, sir. Ivy Meva, writing from Limbe. Some people can only find happiness out of home. This is the case of a man or woman who gets married for material reasons. They don't find comfort with their partner at home. Okay? Good evening, Mr. Liu. Money can make you to be more happier in your marriage. If a husband finds it difficult to pay house rent, settle light and water bills, if he may find it difficult to be happier at this stage. I'm Frederick, writing from Yaoundé. Okay. Good evening, Mr. Leo. What if you have a man who have never appreciated the things that you do? Apostle Ambe, Valentine, Ngwah, can you just respond to the person who thinks that money makes you happier, that if you cannot pay your bills and the rest, you get disgruntled? If you cannot pay your bills and house rent, why don't you move into a house that matches your financial standing?
Happiness is not the absence of challenges, but the capacity to navigate through challenges without being bitter.
Yeah.
That's the definition of happiness. So if you tell me that money gives you happiness, if the money comes along with liver cancer, will you be happy? If the money comes along with your wife having cancer of the uterus, will you be happy?
Leukemia.
If your child is born with sickle cell or leukemia, will you having money, will you be happy? Happiness is far beyond money, my brother. Maturity is defined as the capacity to absorb shocks. If you can absorb shock in life, you'll be a happy man. If you're the kind of person that every little shock that comes your way determines your direction, then you'll be like the wave of the sea that does not have any direction. So never think that you can have money and be happy. As much as you cannot downplay the place of money when it comes to happiness, money is not the root of happiness. That is why we tell people that money is like a kind of contributing factor to create a happy atmosphere, but it's not the source of happiness. Coming back to what we have to do to make our homes a happy place. Woman, be a wife, and you man, be a husband. Who is a wife? Men don't eat food to be happy. There are some things that many men may have differences in, but there is a particular thing that almost every man is in need of. It's called respect. There's also one thing that women may have interest in so many things, but there's one particular thing that women need: attention. A woman that is attended to will live happy, even if you are giving her nothing. A man that is respected will live happy, even if you are giving him nothing. I have seen mothers who are purely housewives. Their submission to their husband covers every other error. There is one good thing you do, it swallows every mistake. Yeah. And there is one bad thing you do, it swallows every goodness. David went to God, the house of God, they asked him that, what is your one prayer request? He said, one thing have I desired that I will seek after, is to dwell in the house of the Lord. It means that when I ask this one thing, all the rest will come. No matter how poor you are, uneducated you are, if you are submissive, you will swallow every other disadvantage in your life. But when you are poor and arrogant, and you have no submission, the lack of submission amplifies the poverty. The lack of submission amplifies the arrogant. The lack of submission amplifies your anger. But if you are submissive and you have other disadvantages, that attitude has the capacity to swallow every other error. To a man, you can be an arrogant man, but if you give your attention, it will swallow that arrogance. You can be a poor man, but you give your attention. I've seen women who are very comfortable with men who don't have money.
Yeah.
Because the man gives them the attention that a rich man will not give. The man is there. He can even go to the kitchen to cook along with them. He can wash their dresses. A woman will be very comfortable because what she needs more from a man is not money, it's attention. So look for that principal thing that you do, it swallows every disadvantage. And you, the man, look for that principal thing you do, swallow your disadvantages. There is one thing you will do in this life, it will wipe all your goodness. And there's one thing you will do, it will cancel all your wrongs. That is why we encourage people to find out who that woman is. What is the thing she loves most? Give her a lot of it, it becomes her charm. You, man, find out what that man loves most. Give him much of it, it becomes his charm. One charm is what closes a man's eyes from every woman's error. When they say a man is charm, it means they have given him a kind of kayamata. that makes him sees no other error in a woman. Find that charm in a man. Once you give him, the rest of your errors will be swallowed. Find that charm in a woman. Once you give her, the rest of your errors will be swallowed. Some people don't even have submission. They don't have money. They don't have life. They have nothing to offer. So we are encouraging you that if you want a home to be sweet, as much as we are preaching all these principles here, your man is unique. Your wife is unique. What your wife may admire is not what mine may admire. I should do a critical study of the person I have in the house and find out what they admire most. When my wife rose up and said she wanted to go to school, I realized that giving her money, buying her dresses, giving her opportunity to preach did not satisfy her. But when I gave her the opportunity to become who she wanted to become, I realized that the things in her started blossoming. Yeah. Find out in that man. The man may not even want respect. He may want you to be productive.
Yes.
If you are contributing financially to reduce a body in his life, it may take all your other disadvantages. Say, behave as you behave. As far as you enjoy me, pay as rent, no trouble.
Yes.
Study your man, study your woman. There are no general rules for couples, but there are some generic information that we throw in the air. But take time to study the product you have in your house, because not all men love the same things, and not all women admire the same things.
Okay. Good evening. Mr. Leo, I'm writing from Yaoundé. What if you have a man who, no matter how you dress or take care of yourself, he still seeks to find pleasure outside? What I'm experiencing now, I am a mother of 2. I work out to look good because my husband loves sexy ladies. Lord knows I am very submissive, that I can swear on it. I dress very well and take care of my home. My husband has never come back without a warm welcome, well-cooked food. With all this, he still have a lady outside. You said it was a necessary something.
Yes. Yes.
Maybe is it genetic or is it a curse? Or
not necessarily a curse. Some men like women with broad face. Mm-hmm. Some like women with long face. Mm-hmm. No matter how you take care of him, if he does not see a woman with broad face, forget it. It's just like the one that likes a woman who is light in complexion. If he finally stumbles on maybe a dark one because of one or two things, he will be looking for the woman who is light in complexion. That is the truth. No matter what you do, if you cook food, you do what, if you don't have the shape and the size that those particular men, those kind of men like, you are in trouble. This is what I'm telling you today. Good dressing, nice food, humble, humility and everything. It's not everything that can make a man. That is why we always beg the men. Don't rush into picking a girl either because of one or two good things you see in them. Because some men marry a woman because she's a wife material. But they go out for something they want that woman does not have. And that maybe is a style of sex. The passion with which that other woman responds when it's on bed. I'm trying to tell you this thing now because nearly all the counselings and everything I've done this season is about that line. This thing is not going. Homes are not going well. A lot of things are going wrong because maybe he is trying to play the gymnastics on bed and you are not that type. But the other one out there knows what to do. He knows his soft spots and knows where to touch. Let me tell you something. Some of you women, you like to do interrogations a lot to your man. As he comes home, you start asking one question after the other. One question, before he wants to finish answer this one, you ask the other one. Don't be a CID on your husband, asking questions and questions. They scare him away. And some men don't like those kind of women.
Okay.
I don't.
Yes. And Mr. Lo, let me tell you something. There are some other men that don't like women who are too obedient and too submissive. They don't like it.
Okay.
They like a girl that can also do gragra and then maybe do naga. Yes.
Bible says it should be submissive.
Yes. But sometimes some women like it. Some men like it.
No. we are to follow God's standard now.
Yes.
Good evening, Mr. Leo and panelists, and thanks for another wonderful program. According to me, there is no happiness out of home. The woman needs to play a great role to maintain a conducive matrimonial environment irrespective of the situation. Marriage comes from the Latin word matrimonium, which means the office of the woman. The woman is supposed to be the bedrock of prayers and joy in the home as the engine of the home. So any man or woman who thinks happiness is out of marriage is deceptive. Secondly, marriage is for men and not boys. If a boy thinks he is psychologically and economically ready to handle a home as the mantle he is to be, then go for it. Nolinga Iwoko. Writing from Yaoundé, Mr. Liu, happiness in marriage is first of all psychological. The psychological booster enlightens all matrimonial departments. The home is supposed to be a solace for external stress. So both the man and the woman need to be love sugarholics who are reliable companions, supportive, understanding, fleeing from all sorts of advice from third parties. Play their roles irrespective of ideological differences. Money is never the source of happiness in the home, but vision, compatibility, and complementarity. Good evening to you, and thank you for that great contribution. Mr. Leo, nothing kills a man's sexual urge like a nagging woman. Do you know the Bible has 25 verses on nagging wives, including Proverbs 21:19? Better to live in a desert than with a quarrelsome and ill-tempered wife. Now you realize why men seek solace in side chicks who are not even as beautiful as their wives. Alan, okay? Right in there. Good evening to you in the house. I once fell in love with a lady of which, when I see another girl in front of me, I would just say, what does she have that my girl does not have? But finally, she left me for a rich man because she was promised a military concours just to have her, okay? Good evening, Mr. Liu and the panel. I wish to say that if a man or woman are unhappy in their home and thinks that only by going out will make them happy, I say no. We should learn to solve internal problems to attain internal peace. Therefore, we need love in our lives to be happy. So husband and wife need to respect each other, correct with love. Then peace can reign. The Bible says, what can take me away from the love of God? Is it problems, poverty? Nothing. This is my point of view. Ngwah is writing from Eboluva. Good evening, Mr. Liu. I like the program on my media prime. Very educative. Thank you. Good evening, Uncle Liu. It's Tabitha. I like your program, learning a lot to get in soon. But I wish women could be getting all this program to learn about the strategy on how to protect their husbands, because men don't have problems after all. Men are few to be chased around. Okay, Tabitha. Mr. Liu, please ask Apostle Ambe if it's possible for us or me to have his number for personal counseling. I really love his teaching. Okay. I'll ask him. Greetings to you, panel. Mwabe. Yes, a married person can get or find true happiness out of their married homes. It's about time the church and society take into consideration, amongst other tests, sexual compatibility. If that's done, we will not get complaints of 1 minute man, small penis, etc. The earlier the church understands and accommodates this, the better for us all. Shout out to Mr. Ngwah, Ambe, Eric, and the manager, Stanley, etc. Nungme. Golof, watching from Mancon, that's in Bamenda. Good evening to you in the house. Okay. Brice was writing there from Yaoundé. Good evening, sir. Can you ask the man on your right what he meant by CID? I don't know what. We talked about CID here. Yes. Good evening, Mr. Leo. What about a man who never appreciates what you are doing, complaining anytime he enters the house? Fit. Writing from Bamenda. Pray. I'm John from Manfi. What about a woman who knows everything and even have spiritual problems and tell lies, will you find happiness from such? Good evening, Mr. Liu. We are out of time. Love Doctor, thank you for coming all the way from Boya, Southwest Regional Capital.
Thank you very much, and greetings to all viewers of my Major Prime. I know some people had been asking, where have I been? No, I've been around. I'm here, and I'm glad to be back on ground. I had my 7th anniversary, wedding anniversary, so I was celebrating, but I'm back. I had a personal retreat, and I'm glad to be back with my able panelists and to be back with you all. And those of you in Boya, always feel free to contact me, and we can have wonderful counseling and consulting sessions.
Okay, thank you too, Apostle Ambe, Valentine, Ngwah, for coming.
Yes, my Tico people, just to announce to you that I will be in Full Gospel Church Tico Thursday, 5 p.m. in the evening. I'll be talking about sex and romance. It's not for babies. It's for mature people and couples. Okay. Sex and romance. 5 o'clock, Tuesday, Full Gospel.
Tuesday or
Back
Thursday?
Street. Thursday.
The day after tomorrow?
Yes, 11th.
Yes, people from Limbe, Boya, Tengene, all of them, they can use that opportunity to be Apostle and be one-on-one.
Yes.
Okay.
So I'll be in Tico, Full Gospel main church. The main church at Street 1.
Yes, Back Street 1.
Yeah, Back Street 1. So I'll be there.
Thank you too, Apostle.
Thank you very much, Mr. Leo. It's a wonderful panel you have created for the society, and we say kudos to you. And I want to celebrate these great men of God who have given out time to talk out their wisdom and their understanding knowledge to the public. I am also grateful that you appreciate what we do.
We also say thank you to you, Mr. Asanji Yvette, and Mr. Essingie. We thank you for supporting your wife to be able to be a blessing to the world. But these men are blessing you. You give tithes to church now. You give this. Also bless them, yeah.
Very important. Very important.
They should bless. They should use people. Call my number and bless the men of God. We want to thank you all who took time off to watch this edition of the program. Thank you, the producers of the program. Also, stay blessed. Bye bye.